Tonight, you are not going to sleep the way you usually do. Tonight, you are laying your tired mind down at the doorway of heaven itself. While your body rests, a higher law begins to work on your behalf. When the conscious mind grows quiet, the doors of the subconscious open wide, and this is where destiny is rewritten. As you listen, every word moves past resistance, past doubt, past old stories, and settles directly into the creative soil of your soul. You do not have to struggle, affirm, or force anything. You only have to rest. Divine intelligence does the rest. Heaven never sleeps, and tonight it works while you do. When the body lies down and the eyes close, most people believe nothing important is happening. Yet this is the most misunderstood moment of human experience. Sleep is not a shutdown of life, but a shift of authority. The conscious mind, which spends the day analyzing, judging, worrying, and resisting, finally loosens its grip. In that release, a deeper intelligence takes over. This intelligence does not argue or doubt. It accepts impressions exactly as they are given. This is why the state just before sleep and the hours within it are so powerful. In this receptive condition, thought no longer has to fight old habits. It simply replaces them. Alignment happens naturally, without force, because the ego is no longer interfering. When resistance disappears, the inner world becomes fertile. Ideas that would be rejected during waking hours are now welcomed. The soul listens without interruption. Old fears that once demanded attention begin to dissolve, not because they are attacked, but because they are ignored. The nervous system relaxes, and in that relaxation, the body signals safety to the subconscious. Safety allows change. Many patterns remain stuck, not because they are strong, but because the mind feels threatened by change. Sleep removes that threat. It whispers that nothing needs to be defended. In this calm environment, truth feels natural, instead of challenging. Alignment during sleep works because it restores the original order. Before fear, before conditioning, before disappointment, the mind knew how to receive. Children fall asleep easily because they do not argue with life. Over time, experiences teach the adult mind to stay alert, guarded, and tense. Sleep gently returns consciousness to its earlier innocence. In that innocence, the inner world remembers harmony. This remembrance is not emotional nostalgia, but energetic correction. The inner compass recalibrates itself. Thoughts that once felt convincing lose their authority. New assumptions quietly take their place. The most powerful changes often happen without dramatic sensation. There may be no visions or strong feelings. Instead, there is a subtle reorganization. The next day, reactions feel different. Situations that once triggered anxiety feel neutral. Problems that seemed overwhelming appear smaller or even irrelevant. This is alignment in action. It is not created by effort, but by allowing the higher order to operate without interference. Sleep makes this possible because it removes the habit of control. The future responds to this inner shift because the future is not a fixed destination, but a moving reflection of inner belief. Every belief acts like a set of instructions. During waking hours, these instructions are constantly reinforced by repetition of thought. During sleep, repetition can be interrupted. When new ideas are introduced at this time, they replace old instructions rather than competing with them. This is why listening to truth before sleep feels different than hearing it during the day. At night, the mind does not argue, it absorbs. The idea that the future is fluid challenges many assumptions. People often believe their path is determined by past decisions, circumstances, or limitations. Yet the subconscious does not recognize time in the same way the conscious mind does. It does not separate past, present, and future. It only responds to belief. When belief changes, behavior changes. When behavior changes, experience changes. Sleep accelerates this process by changing belief at its root. Each night becomes an opportunity to release yesterday. When the mind is filled with fear before sleep, it continues rehearsing those fears throughout the night. The body responds with tension, shallow rest, and fatigue. When the mind is filled with truth, assurance, and possibility, the subconscious rehearses those instead. It practices success. It practices safety. It practices abundance. This practice feels like rest, but it is actually preparation. While the conscious mind sleeps, The subconscious works. It sorts memories, organizes impressions, and strengthens pathways that feel important. Whatever is introduced before sleep is marked as significant. This is why worries feel larger in the morning if they dominate the night. It is also why inspired ideas can feel suddenly obvious and achievable after rest. The mind has accepted them as normal. A fluid future means outcomes are not locked in place. Circumstances can shift rapidly when inner agreement changes. Opportunities that were invisible become noticeable. People enter your life at the right time. Solutions arise without strain. This is not coincidence, but alignment. When the subconscious expects good, it notices good. When it expects delay, it creates delay. Sleep is the reset button that allows expectation to be rewritten. This process does not require belief in a specific outcome. It requires openness. The future rearranges itself around openness more easily than around desire. Desire often carries tension. Openness carries trust. During sleep, trust is easier because effort is absent. You are not trying to make anything happen. You are simply allowing the mind to rest in a new assumption. Over time, this nightly practice changes identity. You begin to see yourself as supported rather than struggling. You expect help rather than resistance. These expectations shape decisions automatically. You choose differently without forcing yourself to. You move toward situations that match your inner state. The future unfolds accordingly. This is why falling asleep in truth is not passive. It is an act of quiet creation. The mind is being trained while it rests. The soul is being reminded of its authority. Alignment deepens, and the future responds, not through dramatic effort, but through gentle, consistent inner change that happens while you sleep. There is a quiet power in letting go that most people never experience because they are taught that effort is the highest form of strength. From early life, the mind is trained to push, chase, convince, and prove. This constant effort creates tension, and tension blocks reception. True change begins when the inner struggle ends. Acceptance is not giving up on life, it is giving life permission to work through you. When the mind relaxes its grip and stops demanding proof, something deeper takes control. This deeper intelligence does not respond to force, it responds to trust. The moment trust replaces effort, resistance dissolves. Many people unknowingly block their own good by trying too hard. They pray with desperation, think with anxiety, and affirm with fear underneath the words. This creates mixed signals. The conscious mind asks for good, but the subconscious hears doubt. Acceptance simplifies everything. It says yes without conditions. It rests in the assumption that what is needed already exists and is moving into form. This inner yes is what activates unseen support. Life responds smoothly when it is not being pressured. Surrender does not mean doing nothing in the outer world. It means releasing the inner argument. Actions taken from surrender feel lighter and more natural. Decisions become clearer. There is less second-guessing and less fear of mistakes. This is because the mind is no longer trying to control every outcome. It allows timing, direction, and correction to unfold organically. What once required struggle now flows with ease, because inner resistance is gone. At night, this surrender becomes even more powerful. As the body rests, the mind naturally loosens control. If the inner atmosphere is peaceful, the subconscious receives that peace as truth. It stops scanning for danger. It stops preparing for disappointment. This is when trust takes root. Trust is not an emotion but a state of agreement. When the inner world agrees that life is supportive, the outer world rearranges to confirm it. Words spoken in this state carry unusual authority because they are not spoken from need. They are spoken from alignment. When the mind is calm, words sink deeper. They are not filtered through skepticism or fear. They are accepted as instructions. This is why gentle truths repeated during rest become powerful. They are not wishes. They are agreements made with the subconscious. Over time, these words begin to shape identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who must fight for every outcome. You begin to feel guided instead of pressured. This shift is subtle but profound. Life starts meeting you halfway. Opportunities appear without being chased. Solutions arrive without being forced. This is not luck. It is cooperation between the inner and outer worlds. Peaceful words repeated consistently create inner stability. Stability creates confidence. Confidence creates authority. Authority shapes experience. This is how spoken truth transforms reality, not through volume or intensity, but through calm certainty. The subconscious trusts what feels safe. It rejects what feels forced. Rest allows truth to feel safe. As this process continues, daily life begins to change in small but meaningful ways. You react differently to challenges. Instead of panic, there is curiosity. Instead of frustration, there is patience. These reactions are not practiced consciously. They arise naturally because the inner world has been reprogrammed during rest. The subconscious now expects solutions rather than obstacles. This inner shift restores right timing. Many delays come from acting too soon or too late, driven by fear or impatience. When the mind is calm, it senses the correct moment. Actions taken at the right time require less effort and produce better results. Sleep plays a crucial role in this recalibration. During rest, the subconscious integrates information and aligns perception. It filters out noise and highlights what matters. When timing is restored, life feels smoother. You may notice fewer struggles and more synchronicities. Things fall into place without explanation. This is not because life has suddenly changed, but because you are no longer fighting its rhythm. Rest brings you back into harmony with natural order. Night after night, this alignment deepens. The subconscious learns that it is safe to expect good. Safety allows expansion. Expansion allows growth. Growth shapes the future. This is how heaven works quietly through rest, not through dramatic events, but through gentle inner correction that slowly transforms the path ahead. The power of rest is that it allows change without exhaustion. It teaches the mind that it does not have to earn peace or prove worth. It only has to allow truth to replace fear. As this becomes habitual, waking life reflects it. You move through the day with more clarity, more assurance, and less resistance. This is how acceptance and peaceful words reshape destiny, not by force, not by struggle, but by alignment that happens naturally when the mind rests and allows a higher order to work without interference. There is a rhythm to life that cannot be forced or rushed. Everything has its appointed moment, and when action happens in harmony with that moment, results feel effortless. Many frustrations come not from doing the wrong thing, but from doing the right thing at the wrong time. The mind, driven by fear or urgency, often pushes ahead before conditions are ready or holds back when movement is required. Rest corrects this imbalance. During sleep, the inner world realigns with natural order. The subconscious sorts through impressions and quietly restores balance. It releases urgency and replaces it with clarity. Right timing is not learned through logic, but through inner calm. When the nervous system relaxes, perception sharpens. The mind becomes sensitive to subtle cues rather than loud demands. This sensitivity allows you to sense when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to wait. These choices feel intuitive rather than calculated. They save energy and prevent unnecessary struggle. Sleep strengthens this intuitive intelligence because it removes mental noise. Many people believe delays are signs of failure or punishment. In reality, delays often protect you from outcomes that would not last or would create new problems. When the mind rests in trust, it stops interpreting delay as rejection. It begins to recognize preparation. This shift changes emotional response. Instead of frustration, there is patience. Instead of anxiety, there is assurance. These emotions influence behavior. Calm behavior invites cooperation from life. Sleep teaches the mind to release its obsession with immediate results. It restores perspective. After rest, problems feel smaller not because they vanished, but because they were placed in proper proportion. This perspective allows you to respond wisely rather than react impulsively. Over time, this wisdom becomes habitual. You no longer rush decisions out of fear. You wait until the inner signal feels clear. Right timing also applies to healing. The body repairs itself most effectively during rest. Muscles relax, cells regenerate, and systems rebalance. The same principle applies to emotional and mental healing. When the mind rests, it releases stored tension and unresolved impressions. This creates space for renewal. Old wounds lose their emotional charge. Memories soften. The past no longer dictates the present. This emotional healing directly influences future choices and relationships. As timing is restored, outcomes improve without added effort. Meetings happen naturally. Opportunities arise unexpectedly. Solutions appear at moments when they can be fully received. Life feels cooperative rather than resistant. This cooperation is not accidental. It is the result of inner alignment that was restored during rest. Alongside restored timing comes a deeper realization that you are not alone in the quiet hours. Many people associate night with loneliness, worry, or overthinking. Yet night is when unseen support becomes most active. When conscious effort stops, guidance begins. The inner world is never unattended. Even when the mind sleeps, intelligence continues to operate. This presence does not announce itself loudly. It works silently, adjusting, correcting, and preparing. While you sleep, impressions are reorganized, emotional weight is lifted, and clarity is formed. You may wake without memory of this process, but you feel its effects, a sense of lightness, a subtle confidence, a feeling that things will work out even without knowing how. Feeling supported changes everything. When the subconscious accepts that it is not alone, it stops bracing for danger. It stops expecting loss. This expectation shift is powerful. What the mind expects, it notices. What it notices, it reinforces. Support becomes visible because the inner world has accepted it as normal. This sense of unseen companionship also dissolves fear of the future. Fear thrives in isolation. Assurance grows in connection. When you rest in the awareness of support, you stop trying to manage everything alone. You allow solutions to arrive from beyond personal effort. This allowance creates relief. Relief creates openness. Openness invites better outcomes. At night, this connection deepens because distractions fade. The external world quiets, allowing the inner world to speak more clearly. Insights may not appear as words but as feelings or shifts in attitude. You may wake with a clearer sense of direction or an unexplainable calm. This calm is evidence of inner work completed during rest. Over time, this nightly reassurance rewires the relationship with life. You stop seeing existence as something to battle. You begin to experience it as something that supports you. This changes how you move through the day. You take risks with less fear. You trust your instincts more. You recover from setbacks faster. The knowledge that you are supported during rest creates emotional resilience. Even difficult days lose their weight because you know relief will come. Sleep becomes a sanctuary rather than an escape. It becomes a place where correction happens naturally. As this understanding settles in, the future feels less intimidating. You no longer feel responsible for controlling every detail. You focus on what is yours to do and release what is not. This balance restores peace. Peace restores clarity. Clarity shapes wise action. This is how rest restores timing and reveals support. Not through dramatic intervention, but through quiet consistency. Night after night, the inner world is adjusted, strengthened, and reassured. The effects appear gradually in waking life as smoother days, better decisions, and a deeper sense of trust that you are guided, protected, and never alone.